As I search for the white dove, I wonder if she searches for me. Or if my hopes of finding her are nothing more than an ill-conceived fantasy. You see... Salutations, mortals, and welcome to From the Jump. Today we have the funny man himself. I mean, this guy is hilarious. From the first time I met him, I haven't stopped laughing since. We have Laz Gola with us. Laz, how you doing, my brother?
I'm good, bruv. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm great. You know, well, I'm all right, seeing as we're under this Corona lockdown thing, but, you know, I'm all right. How's it looking that side in SA? Yeah, you guys are going crazy, man.
Hey, everything's on shutdown. Everything's shut down. I went for a jog yesterday, but I haven't really left the house in like a month, bruv.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's good. It's good. Sorry, am I supposed to do my intro now?
I was going to say right now, can you let these people know who you are? They're probably like, what the fuck's going on, man? Like, this man ain't even intro himself yet.
Okay. Hi, my name is Lazola Gola, and I am a comedian. I am a writer. I am a director, and I am a copywriter, and I'm an actor. It sounds very untidy when you say so many things, but mainly all put together, I think I'm a storyteller, and whatever kind of medium that is. So, yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. That's who I am.
When I met you, I didn't know that you were a comedian. Like, I remember the first time I met you, we were at Neighborhood, and I met you, your brother, and Coolie China all in the same day while I was drinking with I think it was Flex I was chilling with or somebody, yeah. And
oh, yeah.
That convo, man, it was like nobody was trying to make jokes. Y'all are just fucking hilarious. Like, and when you put you and your brother together, it's like, fuck, man, nobody gets to say shit. We're just laughing all the fucking time. Now, was it always like that with like growing up for you guys, or did it happen once, you know, you guys got into the industry?
I haven't thought about it. I think we would always talk with each other and always make each other laugh, but it wasn't. It was just kind of how we kind of communicated, you know. I think it was just we were the only two, you know. It's the only two siblings.
Yeah.
And you know, this is kind of how we would chat about. It was just how we communicated with each other, and I guess it was always, you know, trying to make each other laugh or whatever. But it's definitely much more now that we are kind of colleagues, or in the same kind of field.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a certain kind of rhythm, and you know, you're trying to just find the joke, or we know how to kind of, you know, if you say a sentence, you know how to kind of wrap it up in a way that has a punchline within the conversation, and you know, just trying to kind of make people laugh and him involved. So I think it was happening, but it was never kind of a cognitive thing in my head. Yeah, but I know once we colleagues, I mean, you get any kind of comedians together, and they always, even if they tell you otherwise, we're always trying to kind of, you know, make each other laugh, even if it's a really serious situation. It's always a moment where, yeah.
Yeah. Now, Laz, I've seen you perform a couple of times. I think the first time I saw you perform was at the Armchair in Obs. I think it was.
Yeah.
I was there, and you guys were you actually put together an entire comedic set. It wasn't just you that was performing, it was a couple of comedians. And then from there, you know, your journey has taken you from the stage, you know, to in front of the camera. I mean, I was watching one of your other clips, the apartheid one, the one that, did apartheid start today one? Like that clip, like you went all the way from, you know, stage, in front of the camera, behind the camera, to writing, to, you know, and putting together these content for different stations and, you know, different mediums. Now, can you tell me a bit on what led you along that path, you know, that you were like, all right, I know I can do this. I can kill my comedy shit, but I also want to look at different aspects of this industry. What brought you to that?
I don't know. I think it was just like, kind of the quest to find more and to try to expand and to try and you know, whenever you're doing one thing, there's always limitations, and it's like, well, what if I just can learn to do that thing, or that thing looks interesting, you know? I mean, it was always comedy. That's kind of how it started, and then it went from comedy. I went to go and I wrote for Late Night News, Loyiso Gola.
Yeah.
That was actually my first writing gig. I had been doing a bit of like writing on the side, you know, selling jokes and just writing for my own jokes. And then at the same time, I got introduced, because I'd always been interested in advertising. Okay. And yeah, man. And then I had a friend who was working at a pretty big agency, FCB in Johannesburg. And and I was like, I told her I was interested. It's like, oh yeah, man, you gotta come through. You're a comedian. I'm sure they'll love you. I walked in. They gave me some sort of like test to take home and come back with concepts. Yeah. Literally a few days later, I was working there. So it was never, you know, it was never like, how do I describe it? It was always like, man, I want to go do that. And let me go and see if I can pursue that. And it's kind of seemed to always work out. You know, but it was always just the quest. The one analogy I had was like, it's like, imagine my skill set, or at least my career. I don't know how to say career, but at least like my body of like knowledge and wisdom and you know, just what I can do. Yeah. I think of it as like, I need to always kind of be moving, and it always needs to always kind of be evolving, and like I'm like kind of Spider-Man, and I'm swinging from stand-up comedy. And once I get to a certain level, I need another building to
swing up,
and then
on
I
again.
Swing up, and then I go right, and I feel like I just always kind of need to be. I think I'm going in the right direction. I'm going through the city, but I'm just using certain buildings to get to the other side.
And that's actually a really good analogy, man. Shit.
I'm also a writer, nigga. That's what I told you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't no lies, no lies.
But yeah, you know, so I always think it's always going in the same direction, which is kind of just telling whatever the hell is in here, like let it be in your heads, you know, make it tangible with all the skills I learned, and make it palatable for you to consume. You know, that's really the whole goal, and everything else are just buildings that I'm swinging to get there.
Agreed. Now, Laz, you've actually touched on two things that are two of the questions that I ask at every interview, just in that one statement or that one sentence of yours. I won't say which sentence. So let me start with this one. It's the most important question of the entire interview. I wasn't planning to do it this early, but you know, you already touched on it. Superheroes versus supervillains. Which side are you choosing, and why?
Supervillains.
Oh, okay.
Supervillains, without a doubt, dude. My favorite superhero movie is Avengers 2, because it was because Thanos came with, like, I genuinely enjoyed it from beginning to end. Yeah. And I walked away going, yo, that man killed everyone. You know?
Everybody got it, bro.
Spoiler alert. But yeah, man, it was, I'm more the villain. I just think the superhero, it was, because it's a great thing. It's a great storyline. It's always like, you know, heroes, there's a problem, heroes go and try and solve it. Then there's like a huge, call it an inciting incident, where it's like, oh my God, how do we do this? They figure out how to do it, and then the rest of the movie is them doing they figured it out, you know? Yeah. And then that one kind of threw everything out the way, and I was like, yo, this is amazing. So just because of Avengers 2, like, it's tipped the scale all the way to supervillain style, bro. They have way more, they're way more layered. They're able to be way more complex.
Agreed.
Like, And like very, very good villains are one of those, that's just why I like Thanos or Thanos. It's because it was like, it's not just good and bad. It was like, he's bad, but for his own weird, like,
good reason.
good reasoning, you know?
Yeah.
You know, how flawed it is. And it's like, oh man, what? So yeah, man, I think there's way more space to, so those are people I like people who are like, who are bad, like complex, because you can just make them do.
And I mean,
like,
the story arcs are
things.
way more interesting. I mean, I've always believed that the villain story arc and how they became that villain is way more interesting than that guy that woke up one day and, you know, struck by lightning. Now he got superpowers and now he's gonna go around saving people. Like, fuck that. I've heard it before.
Yeah, dude. yeah. No, that's exactly it.
Which actually brings me to a weird question. You know, when I met you, so many people already knew who Laz Gola was, right? I mean, I'm not from South Africa, so when I came there and I was studying, and I was like, okay, I didn't know who you were, and like and just as I met you, then I found out about your older brother, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, these guys are all like creatives and they're all moving, but the crews that you guys used to move with, I mean, the people that all of these creatives that have now 80% of them have like blown big, like massive. They've, you know, throughout their careers, they've been at different stages of heights. For you, was it a driving force for you to continue going into, you know, different industries, creative industries, because you were friends with so many other creatives? Or was it more a thing of like, man, I'm just doing my own thing. If they're there, they're there. I don't really care, you know. Could you just talk to me a bit about it, you know, just being, because for a lot of creatives, you know, you have like 3 people that are creatives in a friendship circle, and then the rest are, you know, they're doing their own thing, whether they're accountants or whatever, doctors, lawyers, everything else. But you literally, from what I saw of the group of friends I always saw you with, was just mad creatives. It's just a lot of creatives. So could you talk to us a bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always cool to hang out with creatives and creative people. I mean, there's another comic, Mumutebe. He calls people who are not creatives, he calls them civilians, which is something that I always use now, and it's kind of paints that picture. It's like you know, it's I think it's always cool to be around people who intentionally are, you know, looking around, trying to see the world differently, you know, which is kind of the bread and butter of a creative, and to have different perspectives and just try and you know, question things. And when I say question things, it's not necessarily like, you know, a political or, you know, a global kind of thing. It can still be very micro, you know. You can kind of question things in your own life, question interactions, or question anything. I think it's really fun just hanging out with people who kind of have that kind of same outlook or mindset.
Yeah.
But in terms of, I think it's always been a motivator when people do cool things around you. It's like, yo, that is, you know, it just opened up a whole new, you know, it's like, think of it as like Red Dead Redemption or GTA or whatever, where it's like, you just opened up a whole new like map with a whole bunch of other possibilities. And you're like, oh wow, I didn't even see it like that. But you know, it influences you, and you might have ideas from that, or it might just be dormant in your head and then gets unlocked a couple, you know, years later. But it's I think it's always cool hanging around creatives.
Agreed. I mean, I think it helps us as well, you know, because we're not so solitary at that time. We see, oh, not everything's falling on my creative brain. Like I can chill a bit, you know. I don't have to be fucking out there all the damn time. Which actually leads me to my next question, because you, Laz, as I've said, your creative journey has been madness. It's been madness from different, you know, you jumping from place to place, as you said, or let's use the analogy of yours, you're Spider-Man swinging from different buildings to different buildings. Has there been an opportunity that you haven't taken that you wish you really fucking would have taken? Like, what was that one opportunity you're like, damn, I should have done that?
Well, I think it's touch and go. I mean, I think To be honest, it's the one thing I think is always niggling, and is always, I mean, as much as I rationally can justify and I rationally and, you know, intellectually go, nah, I made the right choice. I think it's always the idea of, did I move away from this too early? And would I have been better off if I just stuck down and just become really, because there's many people I see, you know, in my journey, and just other creatives who are amazing at what they do. Like no one can touch them, and that's just because they got the talent, they've put in the hours, you got the experience, and they just have the knack for the thing. Yeah. But they figured it out how they fit in, how they plug into that thing. And I've worked on it for a very long time. And sometimes I go, if I had stopped at one of these buildings, would I have, I might have not, be the king of that building. I would have not gone. So it's basically, do I stay at that building or do I carry on going to the end of the city? It's kind of my internal, I wouldn't say it's eternal conflict, but I think that's the only thing that I can bring that's closest to regret. Okay. That I can think of is fuck, what if I just stayed, or what if I just spent the hours that I'm trying to start this thing by just fucking carrying on in a very good, you know, springboarded and very good foundation there. Yeah. Put that in, you know, how high you can get. But I mean, that just still sounds kind of like morbid, and I don't really have regrets.
I mean, that isn't that bad. I mean, as far as regrets, we're not going to call it a regret, but as far as regrets go, that's a pretty good regret to have. I mean, do I continue on the awesome trajectory I'm on, or do I stay here and be king? Or am I going to be king? That's a good one. That's a good one to have. Now, Laz, I've actually recently it's come to my attention that I think it's Samro that's paying artists their royalties and stuff during this period. Now, I know that in the film industry, you guys don't have a Samro, you know, for royalties, as far as I know, right? So my question to you is, during this, you know, COVID-19 lockdown period, a lot of creatives are trying to get different streams of income that aren't their normal streams, because we can't go out and perform, we can't, you know, be on stage, we can't do these things. So for Laz Gola, what does that look like? You know, have you come up with different new streams that you're trying to, you know, or have pursued during this period of time? Or, you know, are you guys still being able to go back to work and work on what you were working on before this happened?
Well, I think it's two things. For me, I took this opportunity. I was fortunate. I was fortunate enough to be in a position just before this lockdown where I could survive for a bit on this lockdown. So it wasn't necessarily a big thing of huge necessity, if I can say it that way. So it wasn't a scramble, but obviously you want to be making money. It's not a, you know, it's not. That's a no-brainer. There's one or two things that are still gonna drop, but I guess I'm just mention it. Like there's like a Savannah thing that they're doing an online comedy.
Okay, that's great.
Me and a friend have started like a podcast. I haven't really taken this opportunity to look for. It's been more just kind of generating ideas. Okay, it's been more like, what do I do post this? So using this as pre-season for when we get back into the game, you know.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're doing right here now. This is where from the jump came from. It's like, what do we do now that we can push after, you know, the lockdown and continue it? So I totally get what you're saying. And I mean, as a creative, you're not going to just stop creating because there's not a paycheck right now for it. You know what I mean? So no, that's great.
So like for me, I will say the first, I'm gonna say maybe 2.5 weeks. Mm-hmm. I think I found myself very either just distracted. I don't know. I think it was just crazy times when I felt myself not as productive. My output is not. It's not happening. Wait, can you hear voices? Sorry. Let me just close this door. Can
That's
you
all
hear
good.
this voice?
A little bit. I can hear them a little bit. All right, we're back now. Now I can't hear nothing. It's good. It's good. I can hear you.
Yeah, man. So I think the first 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks, I was, whether it was just, I just wasn't in a creative vibe. I don't know what it is. I mean, obviously it's COVID, but I don't know exactly what part of it was.
I know. I'm with you on that, definitely.
But recently, yeah, man, it's been exciting. I've actually today I came up with an idea that I'm like, okay, I need to, you know, flesh it out. Just there's 2 script ideas that I'm like, boom, and yeah. And then someone, I elevator pitched it to someone, and they're like, yo, write that thing and let's see what we can do. So
no, you see, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, it's there's been no income, but I think it's been good. It's been a good time, because I don't usually have this time.
And that's the problem with most creatives. I mean, for most of us, we're creating at such a pace and you know, we're creating so consistently that when this happened and it was like, okay, everybody stay home and y'all can't go nowhere, it's like, all right, I'm just gonna eat some food, bro. I'm gonna get full. I'm gonna sleep. I'm gonna do all that, and then later on you're like, oh shit, I've wasted some time. Now I could do some things, you know. So I totally get what you're saying. What you're saying is like, it's like my life. Like you're telling people how I live day to day. But Les, one thing I wanted to find out from you, you know, because you've literally been in and out of, and I keep saying this, but I don't think people grasp like the difference in industries, you know, from being a stand-up comedian to then being in film to then writing shows to then, I mean, it's madness. It's total madness. It's such different styles of writing as well. Now, if there was, let's say there's a young up and coming creative that is like, man, Laz is on this. I want to ask Laz for some advice. What would be that one piece of advice that you would give an up and coming artist of any kind?
The one bit of advice. The one bit of advice is, I'll say is keep doing it. Keep going. The common denominator between every single creative that you admire or that is successful or that is out there doing amazing things was that they kept going. There are millions of ones that you don't know of or that you hate or whatever. It's the one common denominator is at the beginning when it felt bad, when it felt you felt delusioned and you felt like it was going nowhere, you kept going. Everyone else did, and that's the first step.
Agreed,
so
man.
keep going.
Yeah. No, and that's on word, man. Like if you, because a lot of, I mean, we know a lot of, I personally know a lot of creatives that stopped just before they were going to get there, you know, whatever there was for them, you know, whether it was getting on TV, whether it was actually doing a solo show, but just before they were like, man, nobody's really gonna like fuck with this. They don't really, you know, they don't really support me, and you know that thought pattern of like, nah, I can't do this. So I totally get what you're saying with the, you know, keep going, keep at it, and keep moving. Now, last collaborations is a big part of my life. I mean, that's how we're here right now. This is a collaboration. Since none of us are getting paid. So I just wanted to find out, like, in your industry and throughout your creative journey, how important have collaborations been to Laz Gola to become the Laz Gola you are today? You know, not just back then and then never again. Like, how has it been a consistent theme throughout your career? Or again, you don't like the word career. What are we gonna say? Throughout your journey. Throughout your journey, let's use that one. Yeah, so that's the question.
Yeah, man, collaborations are definitely key. I think I collaborate all the time. I mean, she's more so now as a director, but like, for instance, stand-up comedy seems like a very solo sport, but you find yourself backstage or in the green room with a lot of comedians. You know, it's only really a one-man show, so even then there's other comedians around. Where you're alone, usually it's like an ensemble show where there's other comedians around, people watching other comedians. other right. I mean, you know, and you give each other notes, and you're like, or not even notes. You just watch someone else, and you're like, oh, okay. They spark something, or you go like, fuck, I need to step my game up, or oh, that was interesting. And then maybe I can try and push the idea that I had in my head as extreme, or whatever it is, you know. So even something that seems like a solo sport is very collaborative. I mean, we give each other notes all the time. At least comedians that trust each other give each other notes all the time. Okay. And just really just to make like selflessly, like, to make your set better. Like, hey, well, maybe try this. If it doesn't work, whatever. And then they try it. Some of my best lines have come from people who've just watched me, and they get off stage and like, yo, that's fire. What about doing this, that. You know, and you're like, oh, I actually didn't even think of it. You know, it's a different perspective.
Exactly.
I mean, in the writing, yeah, I think collaborative is, it's so much more long term than stand up comedy. I would go crazy if it wasn't collaborative. Because stand up, you're like, you know, you think of a joke, you deliver it, and you get immediate feedback.
Yeah.
Whereas in writing, you can write for days or weeks alone in isolation, and you kind of are not getting any exterior factors in there, and you could, you know, you feel like you're just writing in circles. So I like to collaborate. I mean, on Bantu Hour, it was like pretty much collaborative. I mean, Kagiso Lediga, who was the creator and the showrunner of the show, he likes the idea of like you know, more heads is better than one. So we had like the writing room that was like packed. Sometimes there were like 15 comedians. And you'd throw your idea out, and you know, your initial thing, and if it's like a laugh, then dope. But then straight after that laugh, people start throwing in ideas and like trying and just building it, and it becomes literally it evolves from just being your idea that you throw into the table to kind of everyone trying to build this thing right in front of your eyes live, you know.
Wow. Okay.
And you're like, oh fuck, cool. And then you like take down the notes, and you go and you go do your second draft.
Damn, that would actually be awesome to see. Like, did you guys ever record any of those sessions?
No. It was literally just for the writing process. But yeah, actually, funny you say that. That was actually my. I don't want to get too much into it, but that was one of that was the basis of one of my ideas that I thought of today that I said earlier. But yeah, dude. So that one is like hype, like, you know, that's proper collaborative, and that is there's no other way. Yeah, and you could tell the contributors who. You could see the difference, between in their second drafts. One who didn't take in everyone's like
contributions,
and contributions, and someone who just was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go solo it and you'll see I'll get them." You know, I mean, sometimes it did happen because obviously there were flops. Someone would come in and then no one would laugh. Then we'd like.
But that's and you know what, I think in that environment it's basically like an iron sharpens iron type of thing, you know. It's like playing chess against a smarter opponent. You're always going to get better. You're not going to get worse. Yeah, you're going to lose, but if you go play somebody that you played 5 years ago or 2 months ago, you're going to whoop their asses. That's just how it goes. Now Les, my one question that I really wanted to ask you, or I don't even care if everybody else wants to know it, I want to know. That first time you got on stage for your first like stand-up comedy show, right?
Yeah.
Most of us, when we get on stage for the first time, it's like just before you go on, it's like, damn it, I need to take a shit. Like, that's the feeling in your stomach, like with all the, you know what I mean, with all the nerves. Now, how did you do, firstly, in your own opinion, how did you do on your first set, you know, the first time you got on stage? And secondly, did you ever have a feeling or like, did you ever experience that joy or pain that you experienced that first time ever again?
Yeah, man, my first time was my first time was at Armchair Theatre, but like years before. I mean, Armchair has changed in so many ways, so many times, like like just the interior things. But I remember it was Stuart Taylor was hosting. My brother's performing there, and I actually went there because I could get a lift, and I got an open spot. But I'd been writing forever. I'd been writing for almost a year, because I enjoyed the joke creation. I enjoyed making the joke. I was having fun doing that. It wasn't like the rush to get on stage to tell these things wasn't there. There wasn't like that massive urge. And I was just like writing jokes and and I remember I'd always keep sending them, because my brother was in Joburg at that time. He was working on PMS, and I remember like I'd constantly like whenever he'd call, and I'd be like get on the phone at the end and be like, I'll run through my jokes, or I'll send him an email of jokes, and I'm sure they were fucking horrible. I mean, to his credit, he was proper like, yeah, dope. Oh, that's a dope. That's dope. Actually, there was also another time. There was a time that I was actually supposed to go on stage. Well, there was an opportunity to go on stage. So I was at Cool Runnings in Melville, and some guy and some open mic didn't show up. And it was like a competition or something. He didn't pitch, and there's an opportunity to be like, jump on. But I hadn't prepared a set, and
there we go. The internet's doing that thing again, Laz. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can.
Okay, wait. There it goes again.
Oh, you frozen again.
Okay, now you're back again.
Okay.
So Zoom does this thing at 50 minutes where it just freezes for a bit. I think it's a switch over.
Oh, is it okay? You got the premium jump off.
No. I'm on that free shit, bro. I'm on that free shit. Okay, so just repeat that last part again you were saying.
Because where was I? Oh, like, especially at the beginning, like I wasn't prepared. I had jokes, but I hadn't kind of put them in kind of sequential order, or just like kind of run through what I'm gonna do, you know? And I remember it was like, I was kind of given like 5 minutes to, it's like, are you in or you out, or, what's going on? And I didn't do it. And I'm glad I didn't do it, because my real first time, which was at Armchair, went really well. I think like 2 jokes that I got claps for. There was like one that was like weird, like an intricate, and it was like, I don't know, it was something to do with like, I remember it was Halloween jokes. It must have been around Halloween and like Jesus. And it was like, I remember at the time thinking, wow, this is very intricate. And they laughed and they clapped, and I was like, okay, cool. That was kind of all that I needed. Obviously, if I had to watch it now, I probably would be like, cringe. But that's all that I needed. And I was like, and that feeling of like the immediate like, yo, that was funny. That was the one. That's the one. Now
you said something very important. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. No. This is your interview. You speak first. Karen, because I was going to move on to, I was just thinking out loud to when that has been replicated. And I think there's been a couple of shows where I was like, I think like beats, every beat was like hit, and walked off. I remember doing, I think the one closest that I can come at the top of my head was, I was opening for Kagiso Ledika years back, on his one-man show called In a Suit at the Lyric Theatre.
So it was like packed lyric theater. I opened and it was just like beat after beat, but it was just all really obscure. It was like obscure things because I was just kind of, that's just where my comedy was, and I think still is. And everyone was got it, and it just felt like it was too short. And I think people even mentioned afterwards that it was too short, and it just felt really good. So I think that would be the one that's probably closest to that like feeling of okay.
All right, yeah, so this is going to be part of the bloopers is what I was saying. I'm going to throw that shit in. You know, people are like, what the fuck's going on? Because it happens every interview, so it's very weird. What? Did it happen again?
Yep.
Oh my. Okay, so what I was going to say is that what I got from also what you said in you know, not choosing to do that first show, even though it was put in front of you and like, hey man, you can jump on, it's a competition, but you were like, hold on, I'm not ready yet, you know? That in itself, I think a lot of artists don't take the time, or a lot of creatives don't take the time to be like, am I ready to put this out and it will be the best representation of myself? Or am I just gonna do it and then try and build later on, you know? And that in itself is a very mature way to look at it. Because I mean, you wanted to do it. It wasn't like you were like, nah, I don't want to do any comedy. It was like, it's just not the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. I think a lot more people can learn from doing things in their own time and not when they're just told to.
Yeah, man, I think so. I think also, like I said, I'd been writing for a year, so it felt like I kind of had this weird like I had it. I just thought I was gonna do it just injustice.
Okay,
I'd do it at disjustice.
Well, both kind of work. It depends on the sentence.
Okay. If I just went on and kind of freestyled, I mean, that's, if anyone knows comedy, that's really how open micers bomb most of the time. It's because they go off the cuff, and it's like you are your funniest representation. The funniest representation of you is the one that you prepared. Only later on can other things come in, and you can like use elements in the room, or you can sense when to go in a joke, or you can pull a joke back or take it, or, you know, doing the self-edit.
Yeah.
But as a new comedian, it's like you've written this thing for weeks or whatever, and then you get up on stage and you just fucking throw it all away, and then panic, and then do other things, and then literally think of new jokes on the spot and discard the ones that were like working and have worked and have been signed off in your head. Yeah. So that's, I mean, I've only learned that after the fact, but there was a sense in my head that I knew that there was a preparation behind it. I think just being exposed to my brother and also writing for a year before.
Yeah.
I knew that it wasn't just get up on stage and bow, 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 bow. Or at least that's what I thought.
And that in itself is what we're trying to get at, you know, because a lot of people think that, oh no, comedians they're just funny, man. They just get up there and they just wing it. And then we laugh. Like, but people don't understand that there's actually an entire process to get to those jokes, you know? Now, you did say that when you started out, you used to send your jokes to your brother, you know, just, you know, be like, hey, yeah, at the end, what's up, bro? You how do you feel about this one? Are there people that you bounce, besides, of course, the colleagues that you work with, are there people that you know, would still send some of your work to just to bounce off of them?
No, not really. I mean, it would really be comedians. Mm-hmm. If we're just sitting around and chatting, and you're like, oh man, I got this. Or it's in conversations like, oh, actually, it's similar to this bit that I'm working on, and then kind of say the premise, but you wouldn't really say it like word for word and act it out.
Got you. Yeah.
It was just kind of just like seeing whether the premise works or is interesting enough, or, you know. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that happens all the time. I mean, I'd have a conversation with my brother, and all of a sudden, either me or him would be like, yeah, and fuck, I'm working on this bit, it's so dope, and you'd like just say the premise, and like, oh fuck, that's fire, and then even that time you're like, you know, throw in a line or two. Yeah. Sorry, I'm gonna try and find this lighter. You don't mind if I smoke on your?
Nah, bro, smoke Do your thing, man. Do your thing. I know that you're a very busy man, so I've actually only got one more question for you, right? Now, Laz, when we met, you were such a cool guy, and this is the weird thing. Like all the creatives that I met in South Africa were pretty much from the jump. They were just cool with me. Like it wasn't any, animosity. There was no who the fuck is this guy. Like it was just really chilled. Maybe because we were all drunk or something. But what my question is, because like as I know you, you're a funny guy when you're funny, but you're serious when you're serious. So my thing is, because you're not a very confrontational person from what I've experienced, and I know there must be some shit that pisses you off, so my question is, what is that one pet peeve, like that one thing that people do that really like grinds your gears, that you're like, fuck man, I wish I could just strangle this, but you never ever say it, you never actually address that thing? We all have one, so I mean, what's your one that you're like, man, if people could stop fucking doing this, I'd be happy?
Jeez, the one pet peeve. I don't know. I think one that is quite constant, but it's not that it's not like a strangle thing. It's more like let me think. I don't know. I think it'll probably be people taking advantage. And there's a lot of times where I can kind of go like, okay, I see what's happening here. But I don't really get angry. I'm just like, okay, I see you. You've taught me how to treat you, or what is the thing that Maya Angelou says, like,
when people show you who they are, believe them the first time.
Believe them, yeah.
Yeah.
That so yeah, definitely that I think is my, and I'm not very like, I'm here, let me cut this motherfucker off. It's just like, and I think I still hang out with him, but I'm like, cool, I know what level or what kind of
interaction,
what kind of thing, what interaction. I know where we are, where the ceiling is.
Got it.
So I think that's that. I mean, fuck, maybe I should be more like, cut niggas off. But it's also just like...
But I mean, that's not you. I mean, you are who you are, and you do things the way you do them. And if you don't feel the need to cut somebody off, fuck, why should you? I mean, that's just how it is. Well, Laz, that is literally all the questions I have for you, my brother. I know you're busy. You still gotta get back to work. Thank you so much for coming through to From the Jump. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Laz Gola, and you will only see him again on television.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for coming really through, good. Bro. No doubt. And I mean, this is gonna be on season 1. So when we do season 2, I will of course hit up everybody that I did on season 1. Once we start getting some sponsorships and shit in, you know what I mean?
Come on. And just to be clear, Play did not sponsor this. This was just me.
No doubt. Nothing more than an ill-conceived fantasy. You see, I constantly think about one, yet seem to dream about another, making it almost impossible to visualize myself being with